So here's an example of some of the work that we have built for credit unions and for Irish credit unions. So on the left-hand side of my screen here, you can see that we have multiple different reports. This is a Power BI app, which is where we publish reports to that will mainly be used by report consumers. And what I mean by that is, if you're somebody that might be editing reports or building your own reports, you would do that within a workspace. And when you're in an app here, there's no option to edit, and that's because this is the reports that are going to be used, again, not for editing, for actually visualizing and consuming. So you can actually see here we have access to the suite of reports in an iPad as well. So if we click into the applications, we're able to come in and click on the application that holds all of our reports. So very similar to opening the Power BI reports on your laptop, you'll see the individual report on the top left, and you'll see all the pages within that report, and then the reports themselves will pop up below. So again, if we wanted to look at the loans analysis report, we can click in there and we could go through each individual page and also change the filters as well while we're in here. Very similar to how you would use it with a laptop. What we're also able to do is we're able to add in comments, and we're also able to add in a markup. So if you wanted to annotate on this, you can click on the annotate button, put in some commentary in somewhere on this screen, save it as a screenshot, and maybe upload that as a board pack, for example. In terms of some of the reports that we obviously have a huge amount. We have anti-money laundering, we have telephone data which actually comes from a different system, we have a credit control report, we have some current account analysis, we have some current month KPIs, we have financial reports, we'll go into them now in a couple of minutes, where we look at a profit and loss and a balance sheet. We have a loans analysis report, we have member analysis, a little bit of information about member care and prospecting. We have some analysis about the member location, so where are members located. We have transaction analysis. We have an online loan inquiries report, which is a very interesting one, which I'll touch on. And we also have the Pearls report, which looks at some key KPI metrics. And finally, we have a weekly metrics report. What I might start on is a couple of other options that you have here. So the first thing that we have is, and this is for all of our clients, not only in the credit union sector, we have our own bespoke ticketing app. So if you want to tweak something, if you want to ask a question about something, if something isn't working as it's expected, you can come in here and submit a ticket. And it's just one central location for myself and our team to see any outstanding tickets, which makes it much more efficient for us to get back as quickly as possible. We're well aware about how important responsiveness is in our line of work, and we make sure that we stick to that by using this app, which is actually embedded in the Power BI application as well. What we also have is we have a feedback form. So feedback is another crucial part of Power BI and our services. So if something's missing, or if you just have some feedback that you'd like to provide, it's very easy to do it. It's embedded again in the Power BI app. You come in, you select, in this example, this is feedback for a suite of reports for credit unions, but again, we will have this in place for any clients that we have in any sector. Finally, what we have in here that's not a report is we also have it's called a navigator report. It's not really a report. It's just a tool that's used to go to tutorials to show you how to do something. So what we try and encourage is, when we come in and implement Power BI, we usually try and encourage staff members to go on and take it to the next level. They have the experience within the industry, so they might be able to reuse the data model that we've built to build their own report. And again, we would massively encourage that. So what we put in here is we put in tutorial videos, because we're well aware that the majority of people might not be experienced at using Power BI, and certainly might not be experienced at building reports. So they're able to click on a link and it will take them to a tutorial video that we host, that they can again look back and watch and see how to perform a certain task. So in that example, how to build relationships between tables and a data model, It's a key important step in Power BI. And if you don't have that knowledge, you're not going to be able to do that essentially. So that's what we have there. In terms of some of the reports, I'll just quickly go through some of them. So starting off with the loans analysis, I'm hoping that you can see straight away that it's not information overload. And as I say this is probably the worst report page to say that on, because there is quite a few different metrics on this. But what we're looking at here is an executive summary. So we are trying to get as much metrics into the one page as we can. But you can see that it looks very crisp, very professional. And we also have some tutorial buttons up here as well. So again, if there's a new hire that joins the company and they're not sure how to just use Power BI in general and find the reports and navigate it, they're able to click that button, and within a couple of seconds, they're taken to, again, a hosted video where they can see exactly how to use the Power BI. If they want a more custom tutorial video on this specific report, they can click this video, which is a different one, but again, it's very customized to that specific report. What we also have on most pages is filters and slicers. So you can see here, if I change this to 2025, we're then able to see all of the data change for the selected period. So what we're looking at here is we're looking at June 2025 and we're comparing that to June 2024. If I just scroll across a couple of other pages in here, we also have the option for certain slicers to only filter certain visuals. So in this example, and that's what this information icon is telling us, we only want the selection of this slicer to change this bottom right-hand visual, because we want a full breakout of maybe the last 5 or 6 years of the top of the other visuals on this page, and we're able to do that very easily with Power BI. What we also have here as well is we have an interesting report, which is just a table of data. So Power BI, sometimes there's a misconception there that you have to build fancy charts and graphs. What is also fantastic is sometimes just having a table of important data there. And in this example, this is a data that looks at the loans to be issued pipeline. So what has a loan status of applied or awaiting documents or approved, but hasn't been issued yet. And this is a key page for liquidity. So seeing what you're essentially waiting to issue to members, all on one page, and it's live and it's updated every single day. We also have a loans issued page here where we're looking at some comparisons over the years. So we're looking at the number of loans issued, we're looking at the amount of loans issued by the financial year and the month, and we're also looking at the variance and a variance percentage there. If I was to go to the financial reports just to show some of the metrics that we have in these as well. So we have a page for balance sheet metrics where we can look at some of the key metrics around the balance sheet, such as the share balance, the loan to asset percentage rate, the total assets. And again, we can filter this to look at historic data very easily as well. We have the exact same thing, but for non-balance sheet metrics there as well. What we also have is we have a profit and loss and we have a balance sheet. Now, as an accountant, I know how difficult it is to build these reports in Excel and how time-consuming it can be. In Power BI, it's a lot more automated and it looks a lot slicker as well. So if we wanted to expand into a current nominal, we can easily do that. If we wanted to minimize, we could easily do that. What we're actually able to do as well is click this button and export it to Excel. Save the Excel file down each month, and that way you have the comments on the movements saved down in a location where you're able to have a little bit of narrative about why the numbers are what they are. And you can see it looks very, very similar to what it looks like in Power BI. We also have a balance sheet, and we have a cool little bit of analysis here where we're looking at some what if analysis. So you can see this slicer up here. It has a loan growth rate. And if we come back down here, something that is very, very important for report users is clarity, and that's why we have a lot of these information icons. So it gives information about this visual and about this slicer. And essentially what it's saying is the slicer is a dynamic growth rate. So if we change this to -5, which is a decrease of 5%, we're now saying that our estimated loan balance, which is the black line, will go down by 5%. If I change that back to optimistic high, you'll see that the number goes up. So you're doing analysis to say, what if this happens? What if that happens? The last thing that I wanted to cover was the online loan inquiries report. The reason I wanted to cover this was because this uses data from two different sources. So what is happening in this example is this particular credit union is receiving inquiries into their email box, and the data is not going into their central system. So they're not able to calculate these metrics very easily, which is looking at the number of inquiries that turn into a loan application or that turn into a loan issue. And it's very difficult when the data is not in the central location, if not impossible. What we're able to do is we're able to use Power Automate to scrape the data from the email, save it into an Excel spreadsheet saved on SharePoint totally automatically, and then we're then able to allow that data to talk to the data from the central system and build these two calculations. So now we have a data-driven decision to make. We're not using an assumption. We're not saying, okay, I think 20% of our inquiries turn into loan issues. We say we know just under 10% of our loan inquiries in November of financial year 2026 turned into loan issues. Because again, we have the data to do the calculation, to make the decision easier and to make it a data-driven decision.